The numbers on my laptop screen blur as I stare at the confirmation page. $20,000 transferred from my company account to my personal checking. My fingers hover over the keyboard, not quite believing what I'm seeing. 3 years of brutal hours, strategic career moves, and more sacrifices than I care to count, all culminating in this moment. My phone vibrates against the glass coffee table, my mother's name flashing on the screen. I consider answering, but the familiar knot forms in my stomach. It's Tuesday, which means it's probably about Brittany's rent, or Brittany's car payment, or whatever new crisis my sister has manufactured this week. I let it ring out, focusing instead on the Italy vacation booking page I'd pulled up earlier. The cursor blinks at me from the Reserve Now button beneath a photo of a stunning 5-star hotel overlooking the Amalfi Coast. Mom's voicemail notification appears. I swipe it away and click reserve. "Danielle, pass the potatoes to your father," Mom says, barely glancing my way as she fusses with the table setting. My parents' dining room hasn't changed in 20 years. Same oak table, same floral centerpiece that gets dusted but never replaced. Same family photos where Brittany's gradually take up more wall space than mine. I hand Dad the ceramic dish. I closed the Mercer account today. The VP specifically mentioned my presentation as the reason they signed. "That's nice, honey," Mom says, checking her watch for the 3rd time in 10 minutes. "I wonder what's keeping your sister." As if summoned by her name, the front door flies open. Brittany sweeps in, designer purse swinging from her arm, eyes already welling with tears. "You would not believe the day I've had," she announces, dropping dramatically into her chair. "My boss is such an asshole. He said my reports were late again, but it's not my fault. The system is so complicated." Dad immediately puts down his fork. "What happened exactly?" Mom reaches for Brittany's hand. "Are they treating you fairly? You work so hard." I take a sip of water, watching the familiar scene unfold. 20 minutes of dissecting Brittany's work drama later, Mom finally remembers to ask, "Oh, Danielle, what were you saying about your presentation?" "Actually, I set down my glass. I have some news. I received my performance bonus today." "That's wonderful," Dad says, already turning back to Brittany. "And I've decided to use it for something special." I pull out the envelope I prepared, my heart suddenly racing. "For your 30th anniversary next month, I'm taking you both to Italy. 10 days, all expenses paid." The silence that follows is nearly worth every ignored achievement of my life. Mom's hand flies to her mouth. "Italy? But we could never afford." "You don't have to. It's all booked." I slide the envelope across the table. 5-star hotel on the Amalfi Coast. Private tours of Rome, Florence, and Venice. A vineyard experience in Tuscany. Dad, who hasn't cried since his mother's funeral, blinks rapidly. "Danielle, this is too much." "It's done," I say simply. Mom starts sobbing, clutching the itinerary to her chest. Dad gets up and hugs me awkwardly but firmly. Only Brittany remains seated, her smile not reaching her eyes. "Wow, sis. Must be nice to have money to throw around." Her eyes narrow as Mom reads aloud from the itinerary, lingering especially on the words luxury and exclusive. "I can help with the planning," Brittany suddenly announces, reaching for the papers. "I follow all these amazing travel influencers. I know exactly which Instagram spots you need to visit." "It's all booked," I repeat, a note of firmness in my voice. "Everything's confirmed." "But you work so much," Brittany presses, her tone shifting to the one she uses when she wants something. "Let me help take this off your plate. I have so much free time right now." Mom dabs at her eyes. "That's so thoughtful, Brittany." "Danielle, let your sister help," Dad adds, already sliding back into familiar patterns. "She's good at this sort of thing." I force my lips into a tight smile, watching the first attempt at takeover unfolding before my eyes. The travel agent has handled everything, but thanks. Later, as Mom serves dessert, I notice Brittany's phone out under the table, her manicured nails scrolling through images of Italian villas far more extravagant than the hotel I've booked. When I return from the bathroom, I catch her photographing the itinerary papers, angling her phone to capture every detail. In the hallway, I pause at the sound of her whispered phone call. "You'll never believe where we're going." "We?" As I walk back to the table, I hear Mom telling Dad, "The trip Danielle and Brittany plan looks amazing." I haven't even opened my mouth to correct her when my phone pings. The screen displays an email notification that stops my heart. "Confirmation of your cancellation. Hotel Poseidon, Amalfi Coast. I stare at my phone, blood draining from my face. What the hell? Brittany walks in from the hallway, a victorious smile playing at her lips. I found us something better, she says, sliding into her chair. You're welcome. I don't knock. The spare key Brittany gave my parents for emergencies fits perfectly in her apartment door lock. The metal is cool against my palm as I twist it with more force than necessary. Her living room smells like vanilla candles and entitlement. What the hell do you think you're doing? My voice sounds foreign to my own ears, raw and sharp-edged. Brittany sits cross-legged on her plush white couch, designer leggings perfectly coordinated with her crop top. Her laptop, no, my laptop screen displays my email account. She doesn't even have the decency to look surprised. How did you get into my account? I cross the room in 3 strides, slamming the laptop shut. Her fingertips barely escape being caught. Brittany shrugs, a gesture I've seen 1,000 times before, meetings with guidance counselors, after fender benders, during family arguments about missed curfews. Your password is Mom's birthday. So predictable. The violation hovers between us. She says it like she's commenting on the weather, like breaking into someone's private accounts is no more consequential than borrowing lip gloss without asking. You hacked my email. Hack is such a dramatic word. She rolls her eyes, reaching for her phone. I was helping. You're welcome, by the way. Helping? The word sticks in my throat. By canceling my hotel reservation? That boring hotel? Brittany springs up, suddenly animated. She grabs her tablet from the coffee table, tapping the screen with glossy nails. Wait till you see what I found instead. The tablet displays a sprawling Mediterranean villa, infinity pool glittering against a backdrop of jagged coastline. It's admittedly stunning, the kind of place influencers tag in sponsored posts. See? Brittany's voice rises with excitement. Private chef, dedicated concierge, daily housekeeping. So much better than that cookie-cutter hotel you booked. My eyes catch on the price at the bottom of the screen, 12,000 euros per week. Almost 8,000 euros more than my original booking. You can afford it with your fancy bonus. She waves dismissively at my expression. Don't be so stingy. It's for Mom and Dad's anniversary. That wasn't your decision to make. My hands shake as I grab the tablet. You had no right to access my accounts, cancel my reservations, or spend my money. Brittany's face crumples on cue, eyes instantly brimming with tears. It's a performance I've witnessed since she was 3 years old. The practiced wobbling lip, the perfectly timed sniff. I was just trying to make it special, she whispers, voice catching. You always have to control everything. Before I can respond, my phone buzzes. A text from Mom. Family meeting at our house. Now, we need to talk about the trip. 30 minutes later, I walk into my parents' living room and know immediately I've been set up. Mom's eyes are puffy from crying. Dad's arms are crossed defensively. Brittany sits between them on the couch, her hand resting protectively on Mom's knee. Danielle. Dad begins using the same tone he employed when I came home past curfew in high school. Brittany explained what happened. Mom leans forward. Why are you being so controlling? Brittany was only helping. The betrayal is so swift I almost stagger back. She hacked into my email and spent thousands of my dollars without permission. The villa looks amazing, Mom continues as if I hadn't spoken. We're so lucky to have both our girls planning this. Dad nods. It's a once-in-a-lifetime trip. Why not go all out? Looking at their expectant faces, a realization crystallizes. This isn't just about the trip. This is about the roles we've played our entire lives. The responsible daughter is expected to provide. The favorite daughter gets to decide how it's spent. Later that night, alone in my apartment, I scroll through Brittany's Instagram with growing fury. Her latest post shows the villa photo with the caption, "So excited to surprise my parents with this dream Italy trip. Number, best daughter ever. Number, Italian getaway." The comments flood in. You're such an amazing daughter. Your parents must be so proud. Can't wait for your Italy content. My phone pings with a notification. Brittany has tagged me in a post. With @Danielle Sullivan, my assistant in planning this gift. I'm still staring at the screen when another notification appears. Your reservation for Tuscany Vineyard Tour has been cancelled. Followed immediately by, your reservation at Michelin, Starred La Pergola has been cancelled. My fingers shake as I call the travel agent. Miss Sullivan? Yes, the agent says. Those experiences were replaced with a 2,000 euros Instagram photo shoot package at the Trevi Fountain. The customer who called specifically requested prime lighting hours and a professional influencer photographer. I'm about to respond when my phone pings with a credit card alert. Additional 5,000 euros charged from Milan Luxury Shopping Experiences. One more call confirms my suspicion. An exclusive shopping tour with personal stylist booked for Brittany and Mom. I sink onto my couch, the truth settling cold and heavy in my stomach. This isn't about Mom and Dad anymore, I whisper to my empty apartment. This is Brittany's vacation now. My phone pings again. The notification stops my breath. Your flight to Rome has been canceled. She wouldn't dare. But the airline representative's voice confirms what I already know. The cancellation was made 3 hours ago, Miss Sullivan. Would you like to rebook? My hands shake so violently I nearly drop the phone. A text from Brittany appears on screen. Family meeting tonight. We need to talk about your attitude. I stare at the message. A lifetime of yielding, apologizing, and accommodating flashing before my eyes. But something else rises within me. Something that's been building since I watched her photograph my itinerary. Something that hardens as I realize I'm about to be uninvited from a trip I paid for. I know something's wrong the moment I step into my parents' living room. 3 faces turn toward me with that carefully orchestrated look of concern I've seen 1,000 times before always when Brittany needs something I have. Mom's fingers twist nervously in her lap. Honey, we've been talking. Dad clears his throat, eyes darting to Brittany, then back to the floor. This trip should be stress-free for everyone. Brittany sits between them on the couch, legs crossed, designer sneakers bouncing slightly. She can't quite hide the triumph in her eyes, though she's draped her face with an expression of practiced concern. I remain standing, my body suddenly cold. What's going on? Brittany leans forward, placing her hand on Mom's knee. We think it's best if you don't come to Italy. The words hit me like a physical blow. For a moment, I can't breathe. The trip I paid for? My voice sounds distant, like it belongs to someone else. The trip that was my gift? Brittany's eyes widen with rehearsed innocence. You've been so controlling about every little detail. It's not healthy, Danny. She says my nickname like we're conspirators instead of adversaries. And let's be honest, you work so much anyway. You probably can't even relax properly. My parents shift uncomfortably on the couch, but they nod. Actually nod. Did you cancel my flight? The question comes out sharper than I intended, but the pieces are falling into place now. Brittany laughs a light, airy sound that has always preceded her worst behavior. You'll thank me later. You need to learn to let go. Brittany thought it would be easier this way. Mom offers weakly, not meeting my eyes. Dad says nothing, his gaze fixed on the coffee table where Brittany has spread out printed itinerary share versions, not mine. His silence tells me everything I need to know. The reality sinks in, cold and absolute. My own family has uninvited me from a trip I paid for, planned, and gifted. $20,000 of my bonus, meant to show my appreciation, has become the weapon Brittany is using against me. I stand there, hands trembling not with fear but with a clarity I've never felt before. Heat spreads to my chest, into my throat, behind my eyes. Let me make sure I understand. I say, each word deliberate and precise. I spend $20,000 on a gift for you both. I look at my parents, who at least have the decency to squirm. Brittany hijacks it, spends thousands more of my money. My sister's smile falters slightly. And now, I'm uninvited from my own gift? Mom opens her mouth, closes it. Dad shifts in his seat. Brittany stares back defiantly, chin raised. The silence confirms every suspicion I've ever had about my place in this family. Without breaking eye contact with Brittany, I pull my phone from my pocket. The room goes still as my fingers move across the screen, navigating to the travel app. What are you doing? Brittany asks, the first flicker of uncertainty crossing her face. I look up, meeting her eyes directly. Canceling your flight. She lunges across the coffee table, knocking over a vase of flowers. You can't do that. I step back, holding my phone out of reach. I just did. The confirmation tone chimes from my phone. Brittany freezes, her face contorting in disbelief. That's my flight back to Rome, I say, my voice steady despite the adrenaline surging through me. Just change the name. You wouldn't dare. Brittany's voice rises to the pitch that usually sends our parents scrambling to appease her. I turn to face them, feeling taller somehow. I paid for this trip. It's my gift. The words come out stronger than I've ever spoken to them before. Anyone who wants to stay behind with Brittany, I'll cancel your ticket too. I check the time on my phone, a gesture of finality. Otherwise, I'll see you at the airport on Saturday. My voice carries an absolute certainty that surprises even me. I've never spoken to them like this, never believed I had the right. Brittany's face flushes crimson. Mom, Dad, do something. My parents exchange glances, visibly torn between their daughters for what might be the first time in our lives. Mom reaches for Dad's hand, squeezing it tightly. Maybe we should all calm down. Mom begins, her voice wavering. I'm already walking to the door, keys in hand. Let me know by tomorrow. The door closes behind me with a soft click that feels more final than a slam. For the first time in my life, I've walked away from family drama instead of trying to solve it. Brittany's scream pierces through the door, followed by the crash of something breaking. The familiar sounds fade as I walk to my car, my steps lighter than they've been in years. My hands are still shaking when I slide into the driver's seat. I grip the steering wheel, drawing in deep breaths as the reality of what I've done sinks in. My phone rings unknown number. I ignore it. A text notification appears instead. You'll regret this, I promise. I block the number, then straighten my shoulders, adjusting the rearview mirror. Looking back at me seems different, somehow eyes clearer, jaw firmer. This isn't over yet, I whisper to myself, turning the key in the ignition. But for the first time in my life, I'm not afraid of what comes next. My heart hammers against my ribs as I scan the airport terminal. Rolling carry-on grips so tightly, my knuckles blanch white. Part of me still expects to find only empty seats where my parents should be waiting. Then I spot them. Dad sits rigid on a bench near gate C12, his weathered hands clasping and unclasping on his knee. Mom fidgets beside him, checking her phone for what must be the 100th time. Their luggage forms a protective barrier around them, overpacked as usual. They came. Our eyes meet across the crowded terminal. No words needed. Their presence is choice enough. The knot in my chest loosens slightly. Your sister isn't speaking to any of us now, Dad says when I reach them, his voice gruffer than usual. Mom clutches her purse. I hope she'll be okay alone for 10 days. I swallow the reflexive urge to reassure her. For once, Brittany's comfort isn't my responsibility. On the flight, Dad checks his phone until the flight attendant insists he switch to airplane mode. Mom's fingers drum nervous patterns on the armrest as we take off. The tension is palpable, but as hours pass at 35,000 feet, something shifts. How's the new marketing campaign going? Dad asks during the meal service, catching me mid-bite. I blink, momentarily disoriented by his genuine interest. Actually, really well. We're seeing a 40% increase in engagement. That's impressive. His eyes don't wander to his phone as I explain the strategy. An hour later, I glance over to find Mom fast asleep. Her face relaxed in a way I haven't seen in years. No furrowed brow, no tense jaw, just peaceful. Dad notices my stare. First time she slept on a plane, ever. The realization washes over me as I watch them. Brittany's absence changes everything. Miss Sullivan, we're delighted to welcome you and your family. The hotel manager's smile is warm as he hands over our room keys. Your suite has been prepared with the champagne you requested. My parents gawk at the grand lobby, with its soaring ceilings and marble floors. When we enter the suite, Mom gasps at the sweeping view of rum, spread out below our balcony. This is... Dad trails off, words failing him. That night at dinner, no one interrupts with complaints about the menu, or demands the waiter take group photos from multiple angles. We simply eat, drink excellent wine, and talk. I forgot how nice it is to just eat and talk, Mom says, a hint of wonder in her voice. Dad actually laughs a deep, genuine sound I barely recognize. I can't remember the last time I heard it. The next morning, my phone practically vibrates off the nightstand. 12 missed calls from unknown numbers. I check social media and my stomach drops. Brittany's Instagram story shows her in dramatic tears, abandoned by my family on our parents' anniversary. The betrayal is unimaginable. Her Facebook post has already garnered dozens of sympathetic comments. My sister manipulated our parents and stole our family trip. Please pray for me during this difficult time. 3 cousins, 2 aunts, and several of my parents' friends have already messaged me with variations of "What's going on?" and "Is everything okay with your family?" When I show my parents, Dad's jaw tightens. She's always been dramatic, but this is too much. Mom stares at the phone, shoulders slumping. Then she straightens, a resolve I rarely see hardening her features. Not dealing with this on vacation, Dad mutters, deleting the Facebook app from his phone. Mom follows suit, powering hers off completely. For once, I just want to enjoy this beautiful place. Our first day touring Rome passes without constant photo stops or complaints about the walking distance. No one demands we reroute to a specific cafe seen on a celebrity's Instagram. As we pause at the Trevi Fountain, Dad takes a deep breath. I forgot what it's like to go somewhere without managing a crisis. Mom slips her hand into his. This is the most relaxed I've felt in decades. The guilt in her admission is palpable, but she doesn't take it back. The hotel phone's shrill ring jolts me awake at 3 a.m. My heart leaps to my throat as I fumble for the receiver. Miss Sullivan? The front desk clerk's voice is apologetic. Emergency call from United States for Mr. and Mrs. Sullivan. My parents are already awake, exchanging knowing glances across the darkened room. Mom takes the phone, her voice surprisingly firm. Hello, Brittany? Even from feet away, I can hear my sister's histrionic sobs. I'm in the hospital. Nobody cares. Come home now. Mom's spine straightens. What hospital, Brittany? We'll call them directly. A pause. Brittany's voice shifts, excuses tumbling out. 2 just left, the doctor said. Dad takes the phone. We'll talk when we get back. The finality in his tone is unlike anything I've ever heard from him. He hangs up despite Brittany's escalating cries. Mom's eyes glisten with tears, but they're different somehow. We've enabled this for too long, haven't we? I nod silently, afraid to break the moment with words. The vineyard stretches before us in undulating waves of green. The Tuscan sun bathes everything in golden light as our guide pours another glass of Brunello. The tour I'd originally booked, the one Brittany canceled, has been gloriously restored. The stress lines around Mom's eyes have softened, and Dad hasn't mentioned his blood pressure medication in days. At a Michelin-starred restaurant overlooking the Arno River that night, Mom actually cries when the waiter presents her handmade pasta. It's just so beautiful, she whispers, unabashed at her emotion. Dad reaches across the table to grasp my hand. I can't remember the last vacation without a meltdown. Our family photos show genuine smiles now, not the strained performative ones I'm used to seeing. I watch my parents become people I barely recognize without Brittany's shadow. On our final night in Italy, I slip out onto the balcony of our Venice hotel after my parents have gone to bed. The moonlight dances on the canal below, and for once, I feel completely at peace. My phone chimes with an email notification. My boss's name appears in my inbox. Subject line: concerning behavior and professional misconduct. My heart stops as I open it. We need to discuss the inappropriate messages sent from your account to several key clients last week. I grip the balcony railing, the cool night air suddenly insufficient. The vacation might be ending, but Brittany's revenge is evidently just beginning. I rush through the revolving doors of Sullivan Tech Monday morning, caffeine barely touching the jet lag that clings to me like a shadow. The fluorescent lights feel too bright after 10 days of Italian sunshine. Something's off. Conversations halt as I pass. Eyes dart away when I look up. Good morning, I say to Melissa, my assistant. Her smile stretches too thin across her face. Welcome back. She shuffles papers on her desk. Ted wants to see you, right away. My stomach drops. Ted never wants to see anyone right away unless quarterly numbers are tanking or someone's getting fired. The walk to his office feels endless. Dana from HR stands outside his door, clipboard clutched to her chest like armor. My pulse quickens. Danielle, Ted gestures to the chair across from his desk. We need to discuss the email sent to clients last week. Dana places a stack of printouts in front of me, my name and company signature block at the bottom of each one. The words above them are nothing I would ever write. I'm so over this project. If you want to pay these ridiculous rates, whatever. Can't meet this week. Family drama, you know how it is. Not my problem if your deadline slips. Maybe if your team actually knew what they were doing, we wouldn't be in this mess. My fingers go numb. I didn't write these. Ted leans forward. They came from your account. I was in Italy. I didn't access work email at all. You approved the complete disconnect. My voice sounds calmer than I feel. Dana slides another paper across the desk. It pulled the access logs. These messages were sent from your account, but from an unrecognized device. I scan the document, the critical information jumping out at me. Login location, me parents' home IP address. Timestamp exactly when I was on a private boat tour of Venice. Ted's expression softens slightly. Someone accessed your work account without authorization. The pieces clicked together with sickening clarity. Brittany, my work laptop, the backup one I keep at my parents' house for emergencies. She'd been in my email before. Of course she'd try again. We can request security footage from the building, I say. Visitor logs. 2 hours later, I stare at the grainy image on the security team's monitor. Brittany smiling brightly at the front desk, receiving a visitor badge. Timestamp. Last Tuesday, 2:14 p.m. We found this too, says Marcus from IT. Key logging software installed on your backup laptop. Fairly sophisticated. Captures everything: passwords, account details, the works. Dana's voice is firm. We've documented this as identity theft. This is criminal, Danielle. The word hangs in the air. Criminal. My sister. The golden child. I drive home in a daze, mind racing with implications. My apartment door is unlocked. I freeze, then push it open slowly, hand hovering over my phone, ready to dial 911. Brittany sits on my couch, mascara streaked down her face. I haven't seen her since Italy. She looks smaller somehow, her designer outfit wrinkled like she's been wearing it for days. They're saying I could be arrested, her voice cracks. You have to tell them it was a misunderstanding. I set my bag down carefully, keeping the kitchen island between us. It was identity theft and corporate sabotage. Don't be so dramatic. She flicks her hand dismissively, but I catch the tremor in her fingers. I was just checking your email. How was I supposed to know it would be such a big deal? You sent messages to our biggest clients pretending to be me. You weren't responding to my texts. What was I supposed to do? Get out of my apartment. Now. She stands, switching tactics. Tears flow on command. Danielle, please. I could go to jail. Is that what you want? Your own sister in jail? A knock at the door interrupts her performance. My parents stand in the hallway, faces drawn with worry. Dad steps in first, Mom hovering behind him. We got your message, Dad says. Both of you need to calm down and... She's trying to have me arrested, Brittany shrieks, performance escalating instantly to 11. After everything I've done for this family. What have you done exactly? The words escape before I can stop them. Besides, take and take and take. Brittany's mask slips. Her face contorts with naked rage. You've always had everything handed to you. I deserve what you have. Mom gasps. Brittany, that's not... Mom and Dad always loved you more. This was supposed to be my trip. Spittle flies from Brittany's mouth. Everyone was happier when you weren't around. I watch my parents' faces as they hear the unfiltered truth for the first time. The shock, the disbelief, the slow, dawning recognition. Brittany lunges toward me, hand raised. Dad moves with surprising speed, catching her arm before she can reach me. He's never physically restrained her before, never needed to. Stop it, he orders, voice firm. Now. What has happened to you? Mom whispers, hand pressed to her mouth. Brittany's expression cycles rapid leerage, calculation, then the familiar manipulation. Tears flow as she collapses against Dad's restraining arms. If you don't help me, I'll lose everything, she sobs. Don't you care about family? I've heard this line 100 times. It always works. I brace myself for the inevitable capitulation. Instead, Dad straightens his shoulders. This isn't Danielle's problem to fix. Brittany freezes mid-sob, caught off guard. Mom steps forward. We won't be bailing you out this time. Brittany's head whips between them, disbelief etched in every feature. Where am I supposed to go? What am I supposed to do? Dad releases her arm, stepping back. Something you should have done years ago. Take responsibility. The words hang in the air, as impossible as snow in summer. My parents exchange a look I've never seen before, unified, determined. Dad takes Brittany's elbow, guiding her toward the door, while Mom gathers her purse from the couch. We'll take her home with us for tonight, Dad says over his shoulder. Figure out next steps tomorrow. Before they leave, Dad presses something into my palm, my spare key, the one I'd given my parents years ago for emergencies, the one Brittany had obviously taken. Mom pauses in the doorway. We've been blind for so long, she whispers, eyes brimming with tears. Dad's jaw tightens. Italy opened our eyes. The door closes. For the first time in memory, I'm alone in my apartment with the absolute certainty that Brittany isn't my problem to solve. 20 minutes later, my phone pings with a text from an unknown number. They'll choose me again eventually. They always do. And then, this isn't over. Family is forever, sis. I set the phone down on the coffee table, neither blocking the number nor responding. The silence of my apartment wraps around me like a blanket. What happens next? I whisper to the empty room. Sunlight streams through the windows of my apartment, casting warm rectangles across the hardwood floor. 3 months have passed since the door closed behind my parents, with Brittany on the other side of our lives. The silence that followed wasn't emptiness, it was peace. More coffee? Mom asks, holding the carafe over my cup. Her smile reaches her eyes now. Something I'd forgotten was possible. Please. I push my mug toward her. Sunday brunch has become our ritual. Something simple, yet unimaginable. 6 months ago. Dad folds the newspaper he's been reading. Your sisters joined some wellness company, he says, his voice steady when mentioning Brittany. No tension ripples through the room. Selling supplements on Facebook. Calling herself a nutrition coach now. Mom doesn't flinch at the mention of her younger daughter. Instead, she just nods and passes Dad the plate of croissants. Dr. Levine says that's typical. New identity, new scheme. The family therapist's business card is still magnetized to my refrigerator, next to the announcement of my promotion. 8 sessions together, plus the individual ones I still attend bi-weekly. The work has been hard, but necessary. On my credenza sits a framed photo from Christmas, just the 3 of us in matching pajamas, looking slightly awkward but genuinely happy. No dramatic entrances, no tearful scenes, no walking on eggshells. Dad's blood pressure medication has been reduced, and the constant crease between his eyebrows has softened. I signed up for that watercolor class at the community center, Mom says, buttering her toast. The one I've been talking about for years. I'm about to respond when Mom's phone rings. She checks the screen, unknown number, and her eyes meet Dad's, then mine. We all know before she answers. Hello? Mom's voice is neutral as she puts the call on speaker. Mom? Brittany's voice sounds weak, fragile. The doctor's found something. I need to come home. The familiar script begins to play, but this time, nobody rushes to panic stations. Mom's hand doesn't tremble as she asks, which hospital? We'll call them directly. A pause. They're running more tests next week. Brittany stammers. But I need to come home now. The stress is. Dad reaches for the phone. When you have actual medical documentation, call us. He ends the call, despite Brittany's rising pitch on the other end. Mom doesn't cry. She simply nods with the certainty of someone who's finally seen the truth. She'll try again with something new. She always does. My work therapist says these patterns can continue for years. I say, pouring more coffee. It's not about the content of the crisis, it's about maintaining control. Dad sighs. The support group I joined for parents of, well, manipulative adult children, they say the same thing. Mom reaches into her tote bag and pulls out a book with a dog-eared cover. Boundaries? When to say yes? How to say no? This may never completely end, she admits, but we can choose how we respond. We raise our coffee mugs in a toast to next weekend's cabin trip. Mom starts describing her plans for her upcoming birthday, while Dad mentions his retirement timeline, now possible without constant financial emergencies. I've been seeing someone, I say tentatively, just a few dates, but their genuine interest warms me more than the coffee. My phone pings with an email notification, and I allow myself a small smile when I see it's the bonus announcement. Smaller than last year, but substantial. Mom notices, planning another trip? I pause, considering. Actually, I say, this one's just for me. The delight in their eyes at my answer is worth more than any bonus. 2 weeks later, I settle into my window seat as the plane climbs through clouds. My phone lights up with a notification. A new Instagram account is following me, Brittany Healer, wellness coach and healing specialist. My thumb hovers over the block button for a moment. Instead, I simply close the app and turn off my phone. I slide on my headphones as the plane banks toward my chosen destination, unburdened and finally free.